experience is still there.
I have to move on quickly. The final two questions, one up there and one here. And then we have to have the revote and a summary from each of the speakers. So going to have the questioner from up there, please.
Good evening. Question for Richard Dawkins and and Christopher Hitchens. By what measure do you conclude fact? And does Darwinism satisfy that measure? In other words, how do you protect yourself from deception, and how did Darwinism or evolution pass that filter?
Fine. You taking that on board? This question here?
Yes, I'm from the National Secular Society, and I'd like to ask the opponents of the motion whether they think that life for women and homosexuals would have been better or worse without religion.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Another a question about the measure. The measure, I wasn't quite sure what the speaker asked.
Fact.
Yes.
The measure of the factuality of evolution is the same as in any other science. Some of the things that scientists have found are found with great confidence. Scientists are always open to the possibility of being proved wrong at some point in the future, but there are some things that seem, at any one stage in history, far better demonstrated than others. The fact of evolution is about as well demonstrated as anything we know. It is absolutely certain by the normal standards, the same kind of standards as we are certain that the Earth rotates and the Sun doesn't go around the Earth. That formally we have to say, well, that's a hypothesis that might one day be disproved, but we all know that it won't be. And evolution has now come into that category. I don't mean that Darwin's theory of natural selection, at least as the only driving force of evolution, that probably should be treated as slightly more uncertain. But the fact of evolution itself, by which I mean the fact that all living creatures that have ever been looked at on this planet are cousins sharing a common ancestor, that is as secure a fact as any in science.
And the question...
Only because I was named,
Please?
only because I was asked by name, I feel very tentative to second Professor Dawkins in this area, but I would just remind you of what Carl Sagan said on this, which was, he said that there is no doubt that evolution has occurred. It's in the molecular biological record, it's in the fossil record. There are disputes about how it occurred. The Darwinian theory is only the original one of how that might have taken place. And Darwin himself set out as an original taxonomist in order to prove the truth of Christianity. Just as Sir Isaac Newton believed in alchemy and Joseph Priestley, the discoverer of oxygen, believed in the phlogiston theory. We are always ready, all of us on this side, to be self-critical, to have a war within the war among scientists, among those who believe in innovation, evidence, hypotheses, and their testing. But that's entirely different from anything that is based on faith, on the supernatural, or on revelation, all of which belongs to the abject childhood of our species, before these things could even be discussed. There's no contest between the two magisteria, if you like.
Can I finally put the last question to the people who oppose the motion, which is, would the lot of women and homosexuals be better without religion? Julia?
I think it depends where. I think there are present extreme forms of religion that persecute women and certainly persecute homosexuals. I think when you look historically at religions that we recognise and at pre-religious times, and Nigel can talk more about that, you would see tremendous bad treatment of women, and I suspect that historically things have got marginally better for women and not a lot better for homosexuals within the main religious traditions. I have to say, in the non-orthodox religious traditions across the faiths, the position of women and of homosexuals has improved hugely. But don't forget that science also treated women and treated homosexuals extremely badly. Until the 1970s, in my certain knowledge, gays were being treated with electroconvulsive therapy as a form of medical treatment. I'm not sure what the evidence was for that. And don't forget that the description of hysteria as something that particularly affected women because of their wombs was also apparently a scientific thing. I'm not blaming scientists for that. I'm just saying that historically people have treated both women and homosexuals and indeed black people and all sorts of other minorities very badly. I think religion can give you insights to treat people better and equally, and I'm not sure you can blame religion for it all.
Roger, would you like... Nigel.
I can't see the particular questioner, but if you'll pardon, as Judah said, a historical reference. Never in human history have gay men enjoyed better rights than in classical Athens in the 5th century before Christ. The only way that a woman could get any position of power or respect in that society was to become a priestess. The gay men were given rights essentially because they believed in an almighty god, Zeus, who was himself a gay man. So one can bat these things back and forward, and I could say you wouldn't have a Hippocratic oath without religion. You wouldn't have orphanages without religion. There would be children scrambling up the chimneys of this capital without religion. But in a sense, it's beside the point. It's beside the point. The point is that there are many manifestations of our religious impulse. Some of them are appalling, and others of them are thoroughly ennobling. But we have them all the same. And no one on the other side, however many books they publish, however many documentaries they make, is going to get rid of it.
Thank you.